What's up, everybody? Welcome to another excitingly fabulous episode of Pulse of Fins Nation. I'm doing this voice right now as if we were coming off a 43-3 victory. Instead of that, was it? I don't even remember the score. Was it 29-28, Duke, that we lost? What was it?
28-27, but it doesn't
Oh,
matter.
yeah. There you go. There you
It
go.
might as well have been 1,000,000-1.
It felt that way, even though that wasn't the case, right? I am Ron. With me is Duke, actually Chris Early, aka Duke. Lewis is sick, but he's behind the scenes. He's emceeing it, even though I'm sure he'd rather just be laying in bed right now. It was a tough game, Duke. A tough game. I know you were on the post game show a little last night. Got to say a few words. I mean, what can you say? For me, and I'm going to get into I could just give you a little preview. For me, as the game started, something felt off almost from the beginning, and I don't know why or what. And, we could say, well, yeah, if we had won 28-7, you wouldn't have thought that, right? But before we get into the goodness of it here, let me get into our sponsors a bit. Got Prize Picks, of course. The show is brought to you by prizepicks.com. PrizePicks.com is the revolutionary fantasy platform where you can now pick up to 6 different players across professional sports leagues, NFL, NBA, MLB, one of each. It's up to you, and choose whether your chosen player will get more or less than their projected stat. They give you free squares, special Taco Tuesday promos, Flex Friday specials to where you get your money back if you lose, or multiply the amount of money you can win. So with offers like that, it's hard to justify not signing up. Use the promo code 5, that's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up. Again, that's promo code 5. Spell that out, FIVE. Go to prizepicks.com, deposit your $100, and let PrizePicks give you $100 of their money to play with. Get started winning today. And then, of course, I also want to mention that we are simulcast streaming on the 3 yards per carry stream on Apple Podcasts or any of the place where you get those Android podcasts, etc., Podbean, Google Play Store, etc., etc. And only Fins, of course, only $3. You can go in and get some very exciting conversation. I have to say, there's a little bit of a shit show today in there. You missed out because even one of the 3YPC guys had a meltdown. You know what? They're recording their show as we speak. I imagine that meltdown is continuing. I will let you listen to 3YPC tomorrow when it releases, tonight or tomorrow when it releases, and you'll get to hear that. But Duke, before I go on with anything that I have to say, because I wasn't on the after show last night, I was depressed. I want to hear your thoughts on it. Thoughts on the game last night, as much as you can bear to say without crying.
It was a very disappointing loss. If you step back and look at the big picture, Miami can still do what they need to do. There is they've got a contest against Baltimore, and that will probably decide home field, assuming Miami wins games. They've still got a chance to win the division. So things are not over. This isn't one of those, soul-crushing defeats when Miami's scraping to get in the playoffs and then they lose a game to, some crappy team. And then they're like, oh, well, now you're 7-7 and out of the playoffs and, try again next year. We've seen too many of those, and we know what those are like. So it is just a disappointing loss. And I mentioned last night briefly on the post-game show that this week it seemed like the underdog teams won. Thursday night you had the 2-win Patriots beat a playoff team in the Steelers in a game they probably should not have won.
Yeah.
Really, in the grand scheme of things for them anyway. And then the Giants won last night. The 4-win Giants beat the Packers, who were trying to get in the playoffs.
Packers are, trying to catch up for the division, considering the Lions lost to the Bears.
So And the Bills won. They were the underdog in that game, or the lower seeds. So it was like it was one of those
City.
weeks. It was one of those weeks in the NFL where it was like, and when I started watching that Sunday, I didn't think anything about it Thursday, right? Because who cares? But then I saw it on Sunday. It's like, yeah, it's going to be one of those weeks. And then I was like, yeah, I'm kind of nervous. And then that game just kind of unfolded the way it did.
Yeah.
And it's really disappointing because, Tyreek goes out and that throws a wrench in the whole offense. And I know people are going to say, well, it's all Tyreek. It's not Tua. Well, when a guy leaves in the middle of a game, that throws off your game plan. It throws off what you plan to do.
For sure.
And that and all the offensive linemen going down. I say, like, what, the first drive that they had lasted 30 minutes or something because everybody got hurt on every play or some crap.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Even in the first run, Mostert limps off, and then it was Waddle, and then it was Connor Williams, and then I don't know, somebody on the bench got hurt after that. I don't know. It was everybody getting hurt. So, and then it gets those breaks. The guy from Tennessee tries to catch the ball and fumbles it on the punt. And they pitch back to Derrick Henry, and he fumbles. And like that never happens. He never fumbles. And it was 27-13. You're kind of like, all right, we've got this. There's not much time left. Just our defense is going to do what they do. And they just proceeded to give it up. And they needed one first down. Couldn't get a first down. All they needed was one. Because at that point, Tennessee would not have had enough time to get the ball down the field, I don't think, or at least not effectively. Had they gotten one first down, had they gotten two, the game's over. And I understand they're trying to run the ball, but Tennessee knows that. And that would have been the one time that would have been nice to see McDaniel kind of do all right, we're going to do what you don't expect us to do and throw the ball. I know you don't want to give him free time. And Tua had that one throw to Devon Achane across the middle and just sailed it on him. I mean, it was about a foot.
It was uncharacteristic of Tua, especially this year.
And Achane may still be running had he got that ball to him. There was no one around him. So just some miscues. And so all in all, I think, everyone, it's a smack in the mouth. It's some humble pie, as the title of the show says. So it's, you deal with it. And like I told you pre-show, I woke up about like 4 a.m. or something. My dog was barking, or who knows. I woke up and I lay there for a minute and I was like, did I dream that the Dolphins just lost that game? And then I realized, no, it wasn't a dream. And then it was tough to go back to sleep because then I was depressed again. So, but yeah, just it's one of those, you shake your head, you do what you got to do and move on with it. The good news, at least, is it's kind of a short week, so we don't have to wait an extra day like we would have had this been a Sunday loss.
One less day of anguish.
One less day of anguish. So I take some solace in that.
Yeah, for sure. Man, what can you say when you take a loss like that? For starters, it's been a long time since Miami was even in a position that we were heading into this game trying to get a 1 seed. It adds to the disappointment of the loss more so than in other seasons. I'm trying to keep that in mind as I say what I'm about to say. There's plenty I could say that went wrong and went bad last night in that game, but none of it pales in comparison to the ridiculous crybaby crap I have seen in OnlyFans and a little bit on Twitter, because I'm barely on Twitter anymore. I have never, the meltdown from the Dolphins fans is time 10 worse than the meltdown of the team last night. And it was sort of a meltdown when you're up 2 touchdowns inside of 3 minutes. And what was it? What did they say it was? 764 or 67 or 24 straight NFL games that a team had not come back down from 2 touchdowns inside of 3 minutes. Whatever that number was, definitely. I mean, calm down. I knew the second that Tua took that ball, he was going to mess it up. I knew this team's terrible. Tua sucks. He's trash. This team's trash. McDaniel's trash. This is what we're hearing from one 1-point loss. I will say this, and I have been saying it for probably 5-6 weeks now. It is almost impossible in the NFL to go the entire season and not take a loss to a team that you were favored against at least once. Every team had done it throughout. And I kept, if anybody's been watching or listening to this show, I have repeated this probably 6-7 times. So I get to now say it after a loss. Every team has suffered a loss. Shoot, just this past weekend, we saw 3 or 4 teams do it. Throughout the season, you cannot point to me one of the quote unquote dominant teams, one of the teams that are absolutely going to go and win the Super Bowl has suffered losses to the Bears, to the Colts, to the Patriots, right?
I mean, look at the Philadelphia Eagles.
To the Broncos.
The Philadelphia Eagles were a one-loss team until
to the Jets.
weeks ago. To the Jets, led by Zach Wilson.
And who did didn't San Fran lose 3 games in a row? The Browns.
They did. The Browns.
I don't even remember who the other teams were. The Cowboys lost to the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I mean, you give me a team that is going. I just pretty much named one of the teams that's going to win the Super Bowl, right? In regards to the teams like Kansas City, Baltimore, Jacksonville suffered multiple losses to teams they shouldn't have, right? San Fran, the Eagles, the Cowboys, Miami now. It's really hard to do in the NFL. We lost by 1 point, and it's disappointing because of where we are in the season and what we're trying to get and the goals we're trying to accomplish. I promise you no one is more disappointed than the people in that locker room. But Dolphins fans, you got to calm down. Like, seriously. I'm not me and Duke, we've had conversations about this before. You're right. I shouldn't tell you a fan how to fan. You fan how you want. But I will say from out, not necessarily outside looking in, because I'm a fan as well, it's ridiculous. So, and anybody listening to this, some of the people actually do shows on this same channel of which you might be listening to this. If you're in the 3YPC thread or the 3YPC channel, calm down, man. Seriously, calm down. This team did not all of a sudden forget how to play football. This team did all of a sudden not become talented. Did some of the strengths of Tennessee bump up against our strengths and they kind of won out? Yeah, the big one was their red zone defense, their touchdown defense, if you will. They were number 1. We were number 1. They proved that their number 1 was better than our number 1. That was one of the problems for sure. The injury to Tyreek absolutely threw this team for a loop. You could see everyone's face. Everyone's face just had this, like, they just didn't know what to do with themselves. I put that 50-50 on square on the shoulders of Tua and McDaniel. Those are the two that are supposed to soldier through that and get the team focused and back on track, and they never did. Neither one of them ever did. McDaniel's play calling, you thought his play calling was conservative when he didn't have Tua last year. It was worse without Tyreek. He was absolutely lost as a play caller without Tyreek. He was just taking the 3, running the ball when everybody, as your example at the end of the game, running the ball when the whole world and the Titans knew they were going to run the ball, et cetera, et cetera. It simply wasn't the same. And we had more than our chances and tons of one play, this happened, one play, that happens, and we win that game. And maybe we're sitting here like, that was close, but we're sitting here with a smile on our face at 10-3 and back to number 1 seed. But I mean, calm down. I mean, like if we collapse at the end, okay, time to cry. And we'll all cry together. But right now, that loss is not a time to just fold it up, pack it in, and say the Dolphins sucks and let's move on to next year, because that's what I'm seeing. And I'm seeing stuff like Tua's not your quarterback. I don't even want to know what the national media is saying. I will completely stay away from that for the week. You will not see me watch a thing this week. But Duke, you were about to say something.
Yeah, to go along with what you were saying is there was a number of plays. There was the play where DeAndre Hopkins pulled down on X's arm and he caught the pass. Was it a penalty? Probably. He's a star player. X is a star player. They probably let that stuff play out. Had that been Westbrook Akina that's a penalty. That's how it is. That's
Yeah.
the Jordan rule. Bradley Chubb slamming his helmet down because he missed the sack. That's
Yeah.
it was for the first time all season, they had a sloppy game that cost them.
Yeah.
And
They'd had sloppy moments in plenty of games, but their talent overcame those. And this game, it just didn't.
Yeah, and what's wild is I think Levis threw for like 300 and something yards. I mean, he looked like the second coming of Tom Brady or something, leading him down the field. It's like, where did this come from? That was not their strength. Their run game was what their strength was. And yeah, they scored on the ground a couple of times, but it was because they got down close. Just stuff like that. The blocked field goal. I mean, there's just things you got to clean up, and you need to get it cleaned up now. So just that's been my gripe with them all season long, is just stop playing sloppy football. You drive down the field on the opening drive, you fumble twice. Tua got credited for 2 fumbles on that one play, believe it or not. So you can't do that. Now they turn around and throw a pick 6 to Zach Sealer right after that. So it's kind of like, well,
so we kind of got the touchdown anyway, in a way.
Yeah, it worked, but you can't do that. And I understand it's, Eichenberg moved back to center and all this stuff. And if there was one, I mean, look, the offensive line didn't play well last night, and it's hard to get the offensive line playing right when you have 4 backups in there. It's not going to be as good. But that would be my one gripe with Chris Greer and the team building effort, is the fact that Liam Eichenberg is your backup center, a position he's never played before. He's done well at guard this year. I'm going to give him his flowers. He's played well when he's been asked to play. He's not been a complete and total liability like you would think he would be if you listen to everyone talk back in June and July.
Yeah.
So I think they need a center. I don't know what's going on with Connor Williams. I absolutely logged out of Twitter because, like, I'm not touching that hornet's nest all week long. I know how that is. So I don't listen to the national media because Tua is a cash cow for them. It doesn't matter. Tua could have came out last night and threw for 7 touchdowns, but he could have missed a throw that was underthrown by 3 feet. And the media is going to be like, see, he still underthrows passes. He's my 8th best quarterback in the league. And they know Dolphins fans will go nuts and engage him on social media.
Many don't even put him in the top 10, but it's
it doesn't
I don't
matter.
care anymore about that.
They do that for engagement.
Clickbaiting. Yeah, it's clickbaiting.
So,
it's been clickbaiting for a couple years now.
Yeah, I don't even pay attention to that stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, just quit playing sloppy. It's the time of year you're supposed to be playing your best football, and that didn't look like the Dolphins' best football.
No, not even close.
Now, I'll say 2 things about Tyreek Hill. If he was out pre-game, something had happened, he was ruled out.
Yeah,
and they knew that going into the game.
Yeah, they were kind of anticipating he would be out. Understood.
They game plan differently. I think when you lose a guy, it's the same thing. It's the same principle when your backup quarterback has to come in. Okay, mid-game. If you have a whole week to prepare, you've got something. Would Mike White be as good as Tua? No. If he has a whole week to prepare because he knows he's going to start, then he has that opportunity to kind of you build things around it. In the middle of the game, you have to limit what you do. So I think that hurt them. And I also would say, had Tyreek not gotten hurt, I think it's a win, because I think the offense doesn't stagnate in the middle quarters like they did had he been on the field. So, the combination of Tua and Tyreek has been dominant all year. He played half the game and still got 60 plus yards. So good for them. Raheem Mostert has now tied the team record for total touchdowns in a season. So he gets one more in 4 games. He will be the all-time season-leading touchdown scorer in Dolphins history, which is not bad for a guy that everyone and their brother was trying to replace all offseason with fill-in-the-blank running back that may be available. I know everyone was on Jonathan Taylor watch for about a week. Dalvin Cook watch went on for a month. Saquon Barkley rumors, Josh Jacobs rumors, you name it. And Raheem Mostert's done nothing but score touchdowns. He's tied Ricky Williams' record for most rushing touchdowns in a season by the Dolphins. So a lot of positives, a lot of negatives. It's 1 week. You take this, you learn from it, and you got the Jets coming up. And the Jets, look, they're not out of the playoffs. They're 5-7. They can win out and go 10-7, make the playoffs. That possibility exists. So,
Yeah.
They've got something to play for. They scored 30 points. I don't know that they've done that all year long.
Yeah, Zach Wilson had a good game.
So it's one of the, maybe it was that type of week it was.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, even the Ravens, they came close to
Oh
losing.
man, they almost
took
lost that game. They were lucky to win it.
and they played at home. So sometimes it's just the way the ball bounces. And Miami, it didn't bounce Miami's way. And I get what you're saying about the visceral feeling of it, because we're so invested. And I take that with I don't really watch a lot of other sports. The most basketball I watch is my 2 sons when they play. So I don't watch a lot of college ball or professional basketball, so I don't get into it. And I can watch, and my son, they're Carolina fans. They get that from the mom's side of the family. So you get that. But when you're so invested in it and that loss hurts, especially, I mean, if Tennessee come out and won 35-3, you cope with it because you're like, oh, we just got our teeth kicked in. It was the way it happened. I was like, yeah, we've got this. It's 27-13. We're rolling. 10-3, 1C. We get, and then
I went into total relax mode, And then the fact that game ended the way it did, I was just, and so, and I knew too. I said they go 3 and out, this game's over. You just felt like the momentum was, and what the defense was doing. Yeah, not only were they allowing those plays to happen, those big chunk plays, but they kept allowing Tennessee to go out of bounds, which was, I mean, that's on the players. Yeah, I'm sorry, that is on the players. Maybe the scheme and how soft the defense was on Fangio, but continuously letting those guys go out of bounds 4 or 5 times, just free timeouts. And then we burned timeouts we shouldn't have, which is not something we've done a lot of this year, but something we did a whole lot of last year. And it kind of reminded me of that. This game reminded me a little bit of when we were having some issues last year, specifically without Tua, but we had Tua. We didn't have Tyreek really. And towards the end, besides the 1 play, maybe 2, he was kind of more of a decoy than anything, let's be honest. And he wasn't himself. It's just the truth. But there was blame to go around everywhere. The defense, the defensive coaching, the offense, the offensive coaching, the special teams. I mean, there was blame to go around everywhere. And we lost in kind of epic fashion by a point. And it is what it is, man. But
and Tennessee signed a dude off the street to punt, and that dude just did nothing but crush punts all game long.
Yeah.
And like our guy just didn't do it. So I don't know. But when you have that moment, it's raw to you. That nerve is raw and it hurts. Yeah. And that's why I will not get on Twitter during a game unless Miami is up 70-20.
Yeah.
I mean, because even I don't do it in a loss, but I don't do it when try not to, because I learned a few years ago is that I react. And I've said this before, I've deleted more tweets than I have ever sent. I think I've had my account for going on 13 years, and I've tweeted 27,000 tweets in that time period, according to the bar or whatever. And I've probably deleted 10 times that many. And that's not a joke,
Yeah.
because I will tweet something and I'm mad. And I'm like, I'm going to say this and get
You
it off
just
my
don't hit
chest.
send.
And then I'm like, hit the backspace button and there it goes. So I don't want to react. It's, we are of an age where we've kind of learned, hey, let's step back for a minute. Don't react in the moment, because you'll say things or do things you'll regret. I've
Yeah.
learned that. We learned that the hard way. So you just kind of step back and say, hey, the game happened. They're 9-4. They're still leading the division. They're the 2 seed right now. Jacksonville has a big game against Baltimore this week. Baltimore has to go on the road to play San Francisco. So Miami can still.
Bills play Dallas.
Bills play Dallas at home. Dallas is looking good. Now, they don't necessarily travel well, but they're looking tough to beat. That's going to be a good game in a couple weeks. So
Yeah.
and I'm going to miss that one live. So although all those on the Discord or whoever tries to reach me, my phone will be off, because
Fair enough.
I don't want any notifications. I did that during the Carolina game. I was going to that game. I came back and I watched it all on replay. Fast forward through the commercials, fast forward through the punts and all that stuff that I don't need to watch. But it's going to be good games. Miami can do it. And what my goal would be for the team is like, look, learn from this. All right. Let this be the worst possible moment of the season.
Yeah.
Take this and you build off of it. I say, all right, where did we go wrong? What did we do? What pass did I not throw? What pass did I not catch? What angle should I have taken on a tackle that I didn't? Whatever it is in your particular meeting room that you need to do to make that better, and then go out there and do it. There were no, aside from the crazy fumble, and I'll even give them a little bit of slack on that, because you had a backup center. That was the only turnover. So they didn't have turnovers, as I recall. That was the only one, correct? I didn't see.
Yeah, I think that was it. Just
no
the
interceptions or anything.
the fumble.
So
If I'm not mistaken.
learn from that. Take it and move on. Use this as fuel to go out and crush the Jets.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Let's just transition to that. And we are going to do a little bit shorter show today than normal, because I'm sure a lot of us are just like, let's just get on to the next week. This Jets game. Now, obviously, we went into New York a few weeks back. We had no issue there. Now they're playing us in Miami. Miami has been a big home field advantage. I think that was only the third game we've lost in Miami with McDaniel and Tua together. Mm-hmm. That's only the third game. But our last two, including this Titans game, haven't been great, because, that Raiders game, we didn't look wonderful. Then we went on the road 2 weeks in a row, and we smashed the Jets and smashed Washington in our biggest road victory since 1978. And then we came at home again and we looked flat. So I'm looking to see us get back that home field dominance in this game. I think that's key number one. We are playing, as you said, a team that has something to play for. So I think that matters. Obviously, they haven't given up on the season, quote unquote. They're coming off the high of a good victory. Zach Wilson, who supposedly didn't even want to play, maybe had a career game. I'm not sure what his stats are over the past few years, but might be statistically a career game for him. So it's going to be it's always a tough game when it's divisional. It's always a tough game when you're playing a good defense. And it's always a tough game when you're playing the team that you just beat, or they lost to you. Now you're playing them again. It's not easy to beat teams 2 times in a row in the NFL. We did it with the Patriots. Now we got to do it with the Jets. What are your thoughts on this Jets game? What could you see being different? What do you think the Jets will try and do differently than they did in the other game in New York? Because especially in that second half, we ran all over them. So I'm thinking they're really going to try and lock down that run more than anything, because Dolphins are becoming a better running team than they are a passing team, honestly. So what are your thoughts, dude?
Well, they rushed for 167 yards last game. So they produced. I think that the script for the game needs to be the same. I think there's a little more dynamic playmaking ability with Zach Wilson than Tim Boyle. That's not a bold take by any stretch.
Yeah.
He can make plays with his feet. He's got a better arm. I don't trust their playmakers to do a lot. And so they've got one real receiving threat with Garrett Wilson. The other guys are kind of not very good. And I know Tennessee, they're not a great team this year. But remember, they collapsed last year, but they're not. I mean, 2 seasons ago, they were the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah, they haven't been a good team, but I never consider Tennessee to be a pushover.
No, and they've got some playmakers. I mean, there's DeAndre Hopkins. Westbrook Akina has been a playmaker for Tannehill in the past few years. Spears. He scared me more than Henry because I'm like, all right, Henry, we know what you're getting with Henry. Spears is kind of like an A-Chan type where he's fast and can get out of the backfield and make plays. Yeah. So he was frightening to me. But they don't have much of an offensive line, but they did their job last night. Miami was sacked 5 times. They gave up only 1 sack that I can recall. So, but the Jets are going to come back and look for revenge, and they're going to try to hit Miami while Miami might be down. So you can't let this hang over. You can't come out and be woe is me. We shouldn't have lost that game. Forget about it. Put it in the rearview mirror. Use it as a learning tool. And if you do that and you come out and you play like you're supposed to play, I think Armstead will probably be back.
That's what I want to add this real quick because it matters for this as well. McDaniel got way too cute in this game with holding out players that could probably play. This is not the NBA, Mike McDaniel. I understand what you're trying to do. I get that you're trying to keep people fresh and healthy for the playoff run. 17 games ain't 82 games, man. You can't. We were to a point to where because of the players we held out, maybe some of them should have been playing or could have been playing. Maybe some of them couldn't. Hard to know. And then on top of that, then we suffered injuries in game to Tyreek and to Connor Williams. The list of players that, real player, and then including the losses we've taken with Baker, with Phillips, like the list is this long of good, talented starters we were missing in this game. That eventually catches up with you. You can't just, Keon Smith at left tackle, Titans suck. No, you can't do it, man. You got to put these guys in and let them play football. If they're healthy enough to play, you play them. I have a feeling Mike McDaniel will change his tune quickly on that, especially now that it's 4 games left anyway. Now's the time, but got a little cute. So to your point, I think you're going to see any man who's able to play going to be playing this game. He's not taking any chances.
Yeah. So, and I will say this: Kendall Lamb has played well over the course of the season. So when he had a bad game last night.
A lot of people had bad games that did not play. It was just one of those nights.
Yeah,
a lot of players who had played pretty good to well did not last night.
Yeah, I'll give Lamb the benefit of the doubt because he's performed this season well when he's been asked to. But that may be what you said. It may be the silver lining of silver linings in this game is that McDaniel's like, all right, I've been easy with these players, but this is it. We are no longer now in position to control our own destiny. We went out, we're in as the 1 seed. So you can't be like, well, we'll hold the players back for the Jets and save them for the Cowboys. That was the fan mentality. I've seen people say that at various places. Well, we can keep Armstead out till the Cowboys. We'll save him for that. No. Yeah, that's gone now.
That's done. The playoff run doesn't start Christmas Eve. It starts now.
Yeah, this is it.
This game I'm sorry, with the stretch you have going on and what just happened, this is a must win for me if you want to be number 1 seed, get some home playoff games. And I'm sorry, I'm going to just be a big old giant. I told you so. Stop rooting for the fucking Bills to win games. They're in our division. They kick our cans every freaking time we play them. Don't root for them. It feels dirty anyway, rooting for teams I hate, number one. But you're sitting there, oh, I hope the Bills beat Kansas City. Are you happy that the Bills beat Kansas City now and we just lost to the Titans? I stop it. Let's let those guys. Let's let what do they say? Dead dogs lie, or whatever the expression
let
is.
sleeping dogs
let's
lie.
hope. Let sleeping dogs lie. I hope that Dallas kicks the crap out of them. We get the victory, and if we had won last night, that'd have been completely it for them. Or had they lost to the damn Kansas City Chiefs, that would have been it for them. But now they're still alive in this damn division. I want those guys gone. I don't even want to see them in the playoffs.
No, and think about it. They get Dallas this week. That's going to be a tough matchup for them.
Yeah,
but it's
I hope they lose. I'm not. I mean, obviously, it's NFC versus AFC. We're
their next two games: Patriots, the Los Angeles Chargers, without Justin Herbert. I think I read today or saw somebody said something somewhere that he's on IR. He had surgery on his hand.
Yeah. So, I know that. I know he had a broken finger on his throwing hand, so I figured he was going to be out for a while.
So, you get Easton Stick. Now that game's in Los Angeles. About said San Diego again. Mm-hmm. That game's on the road for the Bills, and this season they have been one of those teams to where they've gone into places they shouldn't, gone into games they shouldn't have, and lost to teams they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So maybe Bill Belichick gets one final go at them before he calls it quits. That's my prediction, by the way.
I mean, they already beat them once, so
so maybe that happens, but they could easily beat the Cowboys and go on a 3-game stretch there.
Then it's going to be up to us,
and then it's up to us. So what if we have the same? What if we drop one, and they have the same record going into that final week?
Yeah,
big game. Look, I want the number 1 seed as much as anything, and I get the mentality behind rooting for the Bills, in that you want to knock Kansas City down. But in my opinion, that was contingent upon, well, we've got to take care of our own business.
Yeah, beat the Ravens for one.
And so, I was pulling for the Chiefs.
Yeah, me too. I was pulling hard for the Chiefs.
I didn't have the game on, and I had it put up on my phone, ESPN, and I saw touchdown, Kansas City, with like a minute and something left. I said, oh, great. And then the whole, offsides thing happened.
And he was a mile offsides, Mahomes.
Yeah, and so it was
come on.
That's another story. Oh,
yeah.
But anyway, I was like, I don't want them to win.
No.
So I mean, I would rather go into it as a 2 seed or the 3 seed, and the Bills not be in it.
Much
than be the 1 seed with the Bills in it.
Because that's the last thing I want to see is we're the 2 seed, but the Bills sneak in at the 7 seed in week 1. That's who we got to play. I don't want to play the Bills. Have you seen Josh Allen's stats? Excuse me, against the Dolphins, 11 games, 3,000 something yards, like what was it, like 20 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. It's some 111 passer rating. I forget what it is. I was looking at it like going into before the Kansas City game, as everybody and only Fins is sitting there be like, oh yeah, we're rooting for the Bills. I'm like, stop rooting for the Bills. Like, what are y'all doing? Let's just get rid of these guys. I'd rather play any other team in the playoffs but the Bills.
Well, and you think about it too. Look at the teams that are ahead of them right now. You get Denver, who you've already
like you trust them.
You throttle them at home. Houston is still ahead of them. You got a rookie quarterback, and they lack.
Wait a minute, who did Houston? Houston took a loss that they shouldn't have. I don't remember.
Houston lost to.
I know Stroud got hurt in the game.
Yeah, I can't remember. Was it an NFC?
I don't even remember who they lost to.
I think it was an NFC team. If I don't remember.
I remember they took a loss they shouldn't have. But I know Stroud got hurt. So
that was the Jets.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was the Jets.
They lost some playmakers. Guys got hurt in that game. The Bengals are ahead with a backup quarterback for the rest of the season. So if you're a Miami fan and you look at the quarterback landscape, and I don't even care what happens week 18. I don't care if Miami beats the Bills 100-0 week 18. If you look at the quarterback landscape in the AFC, who would you rather face opening week? Jake Browning, Russell Wilson, CJ Stroud, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett / Mitchell Trubisky or Josh Allen.
Yeah, it's pretty easy answer
And
there.
if you say Josh Allen,
You got problems.
I'm going to tell you to stop doing drugs.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
again, so you want to face, and I know there's the mentality like, we think we can beat anybody, we don't care. Yeah, but as a fan, I don't. I think I want the easiest road possible. I don't care if that's an asterisk you want to put on the Dolphins championship. If the Dolphins host the Lombardi and somebody says, well, that's because every quarterback got hurt. I'm like, you know what?
No,
They're
still
not
got it.
That's still in the trophy case. I don't care who they played. They could play a high school team for all I care. So you just want essentially the path of least resistance to get to number one, to get to the playoffs. And then when you get there, you want the best road possible. I mean, there's not a single soul. I don't care who Kansas City has at quarterback or anything else. If you're like, well, I'd rather the 7 seed. Nobody says, well, I want the 4 seed to beat the 7 seed in the playoffs because that's who we'll get. No, you want the 7 seed. You're like, all right, well, the 7 seed beats the 4 seed. That's who we get first game, right? If you're the 1 seed. So that's who you root for. Nobody says, yeah, let's take the better team. So, yeah, we don't want the Bills in. We don't want him in there. Yeah, so that's the AFC kind of landscape. So yeah, I was not pulling for the Bills at all, and I get it. Miami would be the 3 seed right now. Had the Chiefs won. I don't care.
I don't care exactly because I don't want to see the Bills. I don't want them in there.
The Bills would be 6 and 7 facing a hot Cowboys team. Cowboys beat them, say they'd be 6 and 8. They're done. Season's over.
They would be done. Yeah, they would literally be done. It would be over.
I mean, Cincinnati's got a tough road, but you look at the Broncos road ahead. They don't play hardly anybody. I mean, I think they get the Chargers with Easton Stick. They get the Raiders, who are not doing well. They could get. I mean, that was a team we walloped 70-20, and everybody said they're the worst team in the league, and they might possibly win that division.
We might face them again in the playoffs, which I'd rather face them in the playoffs.
If I had told you after week 3
that the Broncos are going to win the division,
they win the division, you'd be like, you need to get off some drugs.
I would tell you, yeah, you need to stop taking drugs.
So that's where they are. So because Kansas City's struggling, and they face the Patriots, I think next. I think it's on the road, so never ever count out Bill Belichick.
No,
and that team played, and look, say what you want to about Pittsburgh's offense. Their defense is good, and they went up and down the field on them in the first half.
Yeah.
So who's to say that? Who's to say something won't happen? And Bill Belichick steals another one. Which I'm rooting for the Patriots to win a couple more because let's get them out of drafting quarterback range. We want them drafting offensive linemen. So
except it gets Belichick closer to Shula. That part I don't like.
Oh, he's done after this year, so it ain't gonna matter.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah,
I kind of think he's gonna end up being the Chargers coach.
Well, if he goes to another team and he's somehow able to catch Shula, I'll be like, well, that's because he's like 80 years old.
We're gonna put an asterisk on it.
Yeah, put an asterisk on it.
How about we put an asterisk on it for all the cheating? Okay. You know what? Now that we finished up that conversation, let's give it a little zeros and heroes because Lewis would be upset, even though he's there in the background, if we didn't do the zeros and heroes portion of the show. And Lewis, if you even want to type in, if you're still there. You didn't pass out. If you are still there, I can't stop the show, so it'll go on forever. But if you even want to type in your zeros and heroes, Lewis, in there, and I'll let you know what they are. Or you could just put them there on the show. But Duke, I'll let you go first. Let's give us the zero, the hero, and your score prediction for this week's game against the Jets.
Oh man, so. I went into this one last week and I said, I can't really pick anybody for a 0. And then after the game happened, I'm like, I could pick all the zeros.
Pick the whole team.
So I could take low-hanging fruit and say the kicking game, punter. I'm going to go with I'm going to go with the linebacking group. I think the loss of Baker has really kind of set them back. And I think teams will start to attack that now. And the Jets are going to want to run the ball. I don't care what Zach Wilson's stats were. They're going to try to run the ball on this group. I think Duke Riley struggles in that regard. He's a coverage guy.
He was kind of decent in last night's game. I thought that, at least in that first half, especially, he was one of the more shining moments
So
of the team.
I just think that the loss of Baker is going to affect that unit more than we fans expect. A lot of us are like, well, Baker's an all right guy, but him in the game last night, I think changes some things. Maybe not changing it to from a loss to a win, but I think it affects things. So I'm going to pick that group.
To your point, the difference in, or the gap between Phillips and Van Ginkel is not as great as the gap between Jerome Baker and Duke Riley. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it was a bad game for everybody. So I think it was like it's a down week, just whatever. I think they'll rebound. I don't expect,
agree.
like, Jalen Ramsey and X are going to be bad the rest of the year. No. It's not like that. For Hero, I'm going to stick with a guy I've gone with a lot. I'm going to go with Raheem Mostert. He is a man on a mission. He runs hard. He comes into this league. A lot of people think of him as a scat back, a third down guy. He's a lead running back. 16 rushing touchdowns, 18 total touchdowns. He could set all the team records in this game. So I know guys like Hill are going to have probably good games. Waddle will probably have good games, assuming Hill plays. But I think he's the exception. He was like, I'm not staying on the sideline for this game last night. He came back in. So there's no way, unless there's some kind of regression, that he misses this week. So
he probably won't practice all week, though.
But the Jets have a good pass defense. They've not been good against the run. I think this is a survive and advance kind of game. Don't look ahead to Dallas, which is hard to because it's a division game. I don't care. I don't
think they will now because of that loss to the Titans. I think that keeps them supremely focused on this game.
And so
perhaps had they beaten the Titans, they might have been prone to looking ahead. I just don't think they will now.
So I like that the game's at home. I like that it's a 1 p.m. kickoff. I like that the Hard Rock Sun is going to be beating down on the Jets in their dark green uniforms. And I think the running game will wear on them all game long. I think they rush for a collective team effort of 200 yards. And I think the final score, I don't think it's going to be super duper high. I think it's going to be 24-13. They might score more if they get a defensive touchdown. They've had 1 in 3 games in the last 3 games. And I think we could get another one of those. But I'm going to stick with 24-13 with a late score to put them over the edge.
Okay. For my 0, I know you guys aren't going to like this, but even coming into the season, I was a little concerned about him with injuries. And then even take away the injuries, something's like off with Waddle. Something's just not right there this year. I don't know if it's the uber focus on Hill trying to get the 2,000 yards, and the offense clearly is built around Tyreek Hill. I mean, I think we see that more than ever now. Tyreek Hill for MVP. Thank you. I mean, let's be honest. After what we saw last night, I think it's even more of a case Tyreek has for MVP. I don't know. Something's not right with Waddle. I can't keep waiting. Oh, this is the Waddle game. This is the Waddle game. This is the Waddle game. It's just not coming, man. It's not coming. So I'm just not expecting Waddle to do much more than be kind of just a mid-level role player. It's just what he's been this year. It's disappointing. I hope he proves me wrong, but there's just something off there.
Do you think that is a Waddle issue, or do you think that is a McDaniel issue?
I don't know. I don't know. I wish I just don't know. I really don't. Something just doesn't seem right there. I don't know what's going on, but something just seems off. And I think, and people are afraid to say it. Honestly, they don't want to, or afraid to admit it out loud that, we think we have this clear number 1 guy who's better than almost every receiver in the league, and he's our number 2. But man, Waddle is not that clear number 1 guy who's better than almost every receiver in the league this year. He's just not. And I don't know what's going on or what's happening, but it's what part of what is affecting and allowing teams to figure our pass offense out, because we really don't have the quote unquote 2 big threats right now. We have one. We have Hill. One guy, because Waddle's just not getting in on it. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if it's a McDaniel thing. Like I said, the focus around Hill or just Waddle himself. I don't have the answers to that. Only they do, if they even do. I don't know. I'm not sure.
It goes back to the question, or what was the discussion with Hill earlier about, had he been out of the game pre-game, how do they game plan?
Yeah.
We see Hill as the guy in motion. He's the guy that does all the I can't remember.
Crouching tiger, hidden cheetah.
Yeah, the window dressing for all the
Mhm.
plays. If he's out, and you know he's going to be out, does Waddle get those looks?
I'm curious to see. I don't want Hill to be out, but if Hill is out, at least it'll kind of give us maybe a clue that, hey, can Waddle step in and be that guy?
It's bothered me that he's not been used in that regard. And it was interesting in the game last night. I saw Julian Hill do that. He ran the little short motion out, and Hill stayed behind. It caught my eye because I was like, I've not seen him do that. We've seen Smythe in motion, but he doesn't do that necessarily all that short out motion. But they did that with Julian Hill. So, yeah, that's a good point about Waddle. So, I mean, I think on any other team, he's over 1,000 yards already because he's the focal point. He's just not here, and the opportunities have been there, but they're not there too.
Yeah, something's off
and
there.
like that play that Tua had in Washington where he scrambles out and hits Waddle and Waddle drops it. If you see the all 22 on that, that's a Waddle touchdown. Had he catches that, he beats the linebacker to the edge. There was a blocker on the other guy. That's a 80-yard touchdown or something. So
yeah,
it just, I don't know, but I get your point.
Yeah, something's off there. My hero, I'm gonna go Achan. I think Achan's gonna have a big. Not that Mostert won't get his because he always seems to get his, but I feel like Achan's gonna have a really big game in here. I'm not gonna give any heroes to anybody in the passing game because honestly, over the past say 4, 5, 6 weeks, our passing game has been nothing super special. I mean, it's been good. It's a top 10 passing game, but it's not like all world, greatest show on turf type of pass offense lately. It's been really our run game. That's been the big thing. And it's really been what's keeping this offense alive. So I'm going to go Achan there for the hero. And as far as the score, I still think that we're going to beat the Jets fairly comfortably. I'll go, 31-17, somewhere in that range. I think we're going to get back on track. I do really feel like we're going to get back on track in this game for sure. And I don't think the Jets are a great team. So, all right, man. Duke, you got, let's see here. Somebody put 0. Austin Jack said, I'm now concerned that his transformation was fool's. Oh, dude, it was like one bad block. Relax. 2 with throwing insanely fast. All pro Robert Hunt, hero. Xavier Howard will get an interception in this game. It was like one bad block on, and I understand it was probably more than that, but it was I saw a bad block from Austin Jackson. I'm sure that was Lewis, by the way, who was just giving the 0 and hero. I imagine that there was some more bad plays. There was lots of bad plays all over that offensive line. But
I mean, aside,
I'm not ready. Oh my God, it was fool's gold, man. It's like, come on, is this the overreaction I'm talking about? It just is so much overreaction.
Aside from Tyreek Hill, who I think, if I was PFF and I was grading these guys, he gets a high grade because he did what he did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you look at this game and come away with, well, this guy was bad, but he was the one. No, they were all bad.
They were all bad.
Yeah. I mean, you're letting DeAndre Hopkins, who is probably going to go in the Hall of Fame at some point, they let him run all over the field. I saw he got some guy, I don't even remember who it was, got open on Ramsey on a crossing route. Just, I don't know what the call was.
They needed to just take. I mean, they had one dude, and when it was obvious they were going to just keep feeding him, they needed to let Ramsey follow Hopkins and just stick to him like Cliff and do what he does.
And going back to our discussion about the resting players, I think there's a difference of Javon Hollins in that game.
Oh, big time, man! That's twice now. That's a few times that when he's been out, the defense hasn't been amazing.
To the to that position, I think Brandon Jones. I think it's safe to say that he is not going to be re-signed. I don't.
Probably
I
not.
don't
Not
think he's
especially
fit
with
for.
this defense.
No, he will immediately go somewhere to a Flores style defense or a defense where he can play in the box. That's where he excels. Um, so
Quickly, Lewis has final score: Dolphins 27, Jets 21.
So, I mean, here we are. We're picking the Dolphins to beat the Jets. I mean, it's not like we're like, oh, woe is me. The season's over. I know. And look, it felt that way at the end of the game. Like, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
God, the
I
season's
mean, I'm not going to
over.
say the loss didn't hurt. Like, it does, but calm down, people.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
So, but I think Deshaun Elliott gets re-signed. I think he and Holland have formed a better tandem than I expected. And I don't know what they'll do with X and his contract. There's some stuff there. But assuming you can keep that whole secondary, plus you've got Cam Smith in the wings. And I know people are like, well, he's not getting on the field. That was not the game to put him in last night. Just you don't want D-Hop picking on him.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. I agree.
You can let him play against, some of the Jets guys. Because, look, I don't care what happened in the last game, what people are saying. The Jets receivers are just not good. Outside of Garrett Wilson, they're just either old or just overrated guys. So,
yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I think Brandon Jones being in there over instead of Holland affects just the way they can do some of that defense. And I think some of those plays, particularly the crossing routes, the way he tackles, the way he affects how quarterbacks think, he's absolutely a game changer. And he plays against the Jets. It's going to be a different story. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we said we were going to do a shorter show, but we really didn't. I appreciate everybody. Yeah, I appreciate everybody for joining us. Just want to quickly mention again our sponsor, Prize Picks. Be sure to go to prizepicks.com. Use the promo code 5, spelled out FIVE. Promo code 5. Go to OnlyFins for some awesome Dolphins talk. Only $3 a month. Get in there and you can yell at Alf and CK and Simon. No, don't yell at them. They'll just kick you out for that. Say thank you for the $3. But you can go in there and chat it up with those guys. Get a lot more. It's a little bit more intimate feel. It's a lot more policed than Twitter in regards to when people get out of hand, etc. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun in there. It's absolutely replaced my Twitter, and I'm better off for it. Well, I appreciate it, Duke. Thanks, Lewis, for emceeing it in the background. I know you're feeling like crap. And that's it. Fins up. Let's go. Let's get that dub this Sunday, guys. Fins up.